Hey folks, throughout the month of May, we continue talking about the importance of teaching our kids good biblical people skills. Once again, I think that homeschooling is so perfectly situated to do this, much better than the public or even private schools, because in the context of home, we're with each other 24/7. Oftentimes the worst comes out in us, and so it's a great time to use those opportunities to teach our kids how to relate to one another. Now, our family is presently in the book of Proverbs in our daily family devotions. When we talk about Proverbs, so much of the time it goes back to the tongues, the lips, the mouth, just constant warning about be careful, be careful, be careful. And we see in Scripture oftentimes things can be both beneficial and also negative. But as Christians, we tend to park on the negatives. For example, sowing and reaping. We talk about if you sow bad things, you'll reap bad things. And that gets about 80% of the press. Whereas we should be telling our kids as well, if you sow good things, you'll reap good things as well. But when it comes to the tongue, it's almost always negative. I mean, James talks about the tongue is like a fire. It's a world of iniquity. Not a good verse. Yet, Proverbs gives both sides of the tension of the tongue. If you would, if you want to look at your scriptures today, Proverbs chapter 12, verse 18 says, "There is one whose rash words are like sword thrust, but the tongue of the wise brings healing." Also, 15:4, "A gentle tongue is a tree of life, but perverseness in it breaks the spirit." We could go Proverbs 18. The tongue has a power of life and death. And so we see this tension with the tongue of both great potential for good or for evil. In our homeschooling households, I would encourage us to try to both exemplify and to teach our kids to have a tongue that produces life, healing, and is a tree of life. I don't know about your home, but when I look at sarcasm in our home at times, I know where it came from. It came from me. Most of us are first generation homeschoolers, and so we still carry the residue of the public school home with us. I grew up in the locker room in sports, and there was a lot of bantering back and forth. And so I carried that to my home, and now when I see that manifest in my kids, I know where it comes from, but also it bothers me to hear them maybe being sarcastic with one another. And so I challenged them, guys, let's really work on having our tongues be beneficial and encouraging. And I understand there's always fun bantering back and forth, but I just told my kids this morning, guys, it is so easy to cross that line that goes from bantering and fun teasing to being hurtful. And in this culture, where there's so much negativity, so much is coming against our kids, the home should be a place where there's healing, where there's life, where we produce the tree of life. I hope this is helpful. Talk about it with your kids, how that manifests in your home, so you can all be better at using the tongue in the right way. This is Kirk Smith with ICHE's Take 5.